Good day, everyone. So this video, I would like to talk about Ho'oponopono. So I'm sure most of you by now know what that is. The Hawaiian practice of forgiving others and forgiving self. So I would like to discuss today how I use it. And some of this is stuff I've come up with, and some of this is something other people have taught me. So I want to give credit to that. But I found it's extremely powerful in the releasing of things. And, a lot of people talk about the Ho'oponopono, but what they don't recognize or talk about is that when using it, depending on what you're using it for, say you're using it for an ex-husband, or someone that has actually harmed you, you get to those parts where you're saying I'm sorry, and it's difficult. It's really difficult because your mind just goes to platitudes. It goes to things that just to say something. And so I would suggest with this that you let that be okay for the first time. And you do it multiple times, because there really isn't a right or wrong necessarily on this one. This is about not just giving forgiveness, not just getting forgiveness, but this is another form of being able to let things go. And so you're not doing it for that person, you're doing it for you. And so you need to keep that in mind. And when it comes down to it is, no matter how badly someone's harmed you, there is always something that we have done as well. And so it's, let's say for instance, you have an ex that was abusive, okay? And they were physically and emotionally abusive. You could say something to I've heard people say things like, I'm sorry I allowed you to do that. Now, is that contradictory to what you're trying to accomplish? No. Because if that's something you truly feel, that's what you want to release, that's okay. There really isn't a right or wrong. The whole point is to release what you're holding on to. And by acknowledging even the smallest degree of a part you may have played in it through the I'm sorry aspect, then it opens the way for you to truly recognize who you are and what you've done as well. Because we're never 100% faultless. You're in a relationship with someone, they're abusive. You eventually push back, whether it's through sarcasm or just, builds up and there's pushback. And maybe it was necessary and maybe it was warranted, but that doesn't mean it left a good impression upon yourself for you. So this is about letting things go, okay? Now, when you're Ho'oponoing people, I also suggest that you literally call them in spirit. You invite their spirit to be in front of you, so that is an actual interaction with them. Now, part of the aspect of Ho'oponopono is that once you've done this, you don't need to go to them. Unless you really feel that there's some amends to be made, then by all means go and do that. But say it's, once again, your ex-husband or someone that you don't have contact with. This is a way to release things and be honest with yourself without having to actually talk to them. And by releasing that energy, you're releasing it to them as well. You're detaching from outcomes with them. You're detaching from any exchanges with them. When I do Ho'oponopono, that's one of the intentions I have, is that I'm releasing this so I no longer have to be attached to that person. I want to just apologize for the quality of this video. As you can see, I'm out in the forest in New Mexico. So now let's address something. Now, if you don't know what Ho'oponopono is, let's go through it really quick. You're going through the process of, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, or I love you, thank you. Okay? Now, when you're doing this isn't just a simple saying those words. A lot of people misunderstand it. It's not about just saying those words. It's about saying multiple things with those. So let's say, for instance, I'm Ho'oponoponoing myself. Okay, I've done this multiple times. So I'll just walk through the process of just a brief example of what I would say with that, okay? Now, for one, you want to say the person's name every single time you say something new. So it's very clear where the energy is flowing, okay? So, for instance, I would first, if you're doing yourself, you're obviously just talking to yourself. And it's helpful to do it in front of a mirror or something. But if I'm calling someone in, I would just say, so-and-so, I call you in spirit to spirit and bring them before you. Okay? Now, I would say something to the effect of, Moksha, I'm sorry I didn't stand in my truth sooner. Moksha, I'm sorry that I didn't honor who I truly am. Moksha, I'm sorry that I allowed distortions to influence my life and how I handled things. Moksha, I'm sorry that I embodied anger for so many years. Okay? That's just an example. And then I can go to the please forgive me. Now, with this, it is okay to repeat some of those things. But I would suggest if you want to repeat those, try and find a different way to word it. Okay? So, Moksha, please forgive me for not embodying truth sooner. Moksha, please forgive me for not getting into better relationships. Moksha, please forgive me for allowing myself to keep getting into same patterns. Okay? Then we go into thank you. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a second there. There's flies everywhere. So then I'd say, Moksha, thank you for being patient. Moksha, thank you for still being with me and not giving up. Moksha, thank you for choosing a different path. And then go into I love you. Moksha, I love you for choosing the new path. Moksha, I love you for always standing in truth now. Moksha, I love you just the way you are. Okay? This is the process and how it works. Now, when you're talking to, addressing someone else, obviously you're going to be saying much different things than when you're addressing yourself. Okay, so this is the basics of how Ho'oponopono works. Now let's talk about a new aspect of this. And this is something that I'm surprised no one else talks about. When I was taught this, I thought it was absolutely amazing. Now, one other thing I want to say about this is, once again, there's no right or wrong way to do this, okay? So if you find that there's a different spin you want to put on it that is more serving who you are, that is quite all right. Do so. Make it your own, okay? Don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong. I just was laying out some basic guidelines so that you can understand how it works. If there's something that feels more deep and releasing for you, then please go ahead and do it, okay? Now, because honestly, I feel like there is some missing aspects to this process. And one day I hope I have the time to really explore that. Okay, I hope nobody's getting dizzy. I'm feeling like moving around right now, and I'm going to honor my body with that. So I'm going to multitask and make this video at the same time, okay? Now, here's a really deep aspect to this. Ho'oponopono can also be used for words, okay, not just people. So think about this. Let's say you have a block on abundance. You can Ho'oponopono the word abundance. Anything you feel like is a stutter for you, anything that's a block, anything that's holding you back, you can take that word and Ho'oponopono it. And when you're doing this, you're basically treating it like that word is its own entity, because words they have power, they have energy. And especially when they're attached to different emotions, there's that power and entity, movement behind those emotions. And so you can address it as if it is that actual thing. Okay? So for instance, I went through this process, and when you Ho'oponopono words, sometimes you need to come back to it. Okay? You can use different versions of those words. If it's abundance, you can do gratitude, or you could do money, or different versions of the word or whatever you're trying to address. And then you can move on to something else that comes to mind, and then come back to it again, because once you clear one block, it opens the way for other blocks. And sometimes we still have to come back and get the rest of the cobwebs out. So for instance, with abundance, I could say, and once again, just like with a person, you want to say the word every single time you say something new. Okay, that is important, because you want to be very clear where this energy is going. So with abundance, I could say, abundance, I'm sorry that I didn't allow you into my life. Abundance, I'm sorry that when you did show up, I blocked you. Abundance, I'm sorry that I never truly felt you before. Okay, and then you can go through the whole process of doing all the things with those words. This is super powerful. I would really challenge you to just spend an hour going through different words. Gratitude, abundance, money. You can Ho'oponopono objects. If there's something in your life that has really caused you pain, Ho'oponopono it. Clear the energy of it. Let it know that there isn't hard feelings, because we still hold that with different emotions, with different ideas, with different objects, things like that. You get in a car accident, Ho'opono your car. There really is no limit to what you can use this for. And just be honest with yourself. This is about releasing the negative energies and negative emotions that you're harboring towards a person, an idea, or anything at all. Okay? And so when you're doing this, just stay focused on it being a release and letting that flow. I hope this is helpful. And if I would love any comments, or anyone, to leave something in the comments. Have a discussion about this. Discuss, how you use it. If you have any ideas of how to improve upon it, please absolutely share that. Let's spread some more knowledge and love around these things, and more awareness, because we really need to do that. We need to come together more as a community. All right, love you guys.